Hey there. Have you ever had a life-changing experience that was just so profound? You think about it every so often. It changed your life forever. Well, I have a story for you that not only was life-changing, but so profound, it saved my life quite literally. Stay tuned. The year was 2007. My sister, her family, and I traveled to Italy. It was our first time in Italy, and we were all very excited. A couple of days into the trip, we were on our way to a teeny tiny little town called Seychelles. In order to get there, we had to go up this mountainous terrain. We rented a van, we piled in, we tried to blend into the traffic as best as we could without any navigation system because it was 2007, but we were very excited. There was a one-laner that was going up around this mountain, and there was another lane on the other side of the road coming down the mountain. So we were going up the mountain. As we're climbing up the mountain, I don't know, maybe a few minutes into it, I realized sitting in the middle seat that I could look out the front windshield. And suddenly I realized that all I could see was just a wall of blue sky. Yes, it was a beautiful day, but I thought to myself, okay, if there's just this wall of blue sky, we must be approaching a cliff. So I thought, okay, well, we're approaching a cliff, and I see that in order to, the road was going, you had to basically make a sharp left turn. So I thought, okay, well, we'll just have to make a sharp left turn. Well, maybe there was like one or two cars in front of us when suddenly the van, I don't know, it bumped into something on the road. And I remember that the road wasn't paved quite well. It was a little gritty, gravelly, full of stones and rocks. But we ran over something, and I don't know how large it was or anything. All I know is that the van took a leap into the air. And by this time, the car that was in front of us had already made the sharp left. So we were basically facing the cliff, right? The top of the cliff. And I thought to myself, I wonder if there are guardrails. Though I don't think that would have helped because our van was really tall and I don't know, it just didn't seem like there were any. So I thought, well, okay, we're propelled into the air. And then my brain did its thing, this sort of like logic kind of thing where it's just like, wait a minute, we were going straight, so our wheels are still pointed straight. Like there's nothing, we're just going up in the air and we're lifting the van straight into the air. So my logical brain is, well, we're going to go over the cliff because that was the only thing that could happen logically. But what the next few seconds was the unexplainable, which was that I could, I can't make it up. We were lifted up and almost like I could look down and see over the cliff, which was a huge drop. But then somehow I felt as if we were lifted and then put back on the road, right on the lane that made that sharp left, but it just put us back there on the lane going straight up the mountain. So we shouldn't have turned left at all because we weren't able to, but we did. And I couldn't tell you like how that happened. None of us could talk for, I don't know, several minutes in the van. It was a quiet ride. But I remember just looking back on it, the seconds of the van lifting and looking down the cliff and how I felt like we were just kind of like scooped up somehow and brought back on the road. And somehow we had already made a left turn, which is bizarre. But I remember feeling it wasn't a panicky feeling because you don't really have enough time to feel that. And I didn't feel like I had enough time for life to flash before my eyes because, you always hear about that. That certainly didn't happen. But I did feel like I must have stopped breathing for a while because I don't remember breathing. And I remember that my heart was pounding. And that's the feeling that people are talking about when they say that, your heart feels like it's pounding right out of your chest. And I just felt like that. But it was just such a bizarre thing because I feel like we defied death. We defied logic. I don't know how else to explain it. But a few minutes into the ride later, my sister said something like, I think something intervened. And I agreed because I said, there was no way that we could have made that. There was no way that we did not go over that cliff. And she and some of us, the others, agreed. And it was just mind boggling, to say the least, because somehow something decided it wasn't our time yet. So I feel really, really grateful that that happened. I mean, not that that happened, that it was, because it was really scary. It was frightening. But you almost don't have enough time to feel frightened, if that makes sense. But but I think it was the time after that happened that I felt a complete change in my life. Now, it didn't just happen overnight that I changed my perspective, my outlook on life, but it certainly started a flow, I would say, of the things that I feel like, the things I used to react to that seemed, so big at the time, suddenly were not that big because my life was saved and somehow, and I am just grateful for that. And I also remember thinking, maybe the first night that we were there in Italy, thinking to myself before this all happened, just worrying and stressing about returning to work. I know. So many of us do that, right? We want to go on vacation, we need the vacation, yet we're still in that work mode, worrying mode, stress mode, thinking about the piles of work, things that are like just, you just always have to play catch up when you get back to work after a vacation. And I'm thinking to myself that I had thought that, worrying about work. But then after this happened, I thought to myself, oh my goodness, I'm so glad that I'm alive, that I can return to work. That is such a complete shift in my head. Now, I'm not saying that I can live like this every day because I certainly don't. I certainly have moments where I still feel things, like I have ups and down days and stuff like that. But basically, it when I think about an experience like this that happened in 2007, and then, maybe a few other experiences in life, then it reminds me that what it is that we should be appreciative of, what it is about not sweating the small stuff. I certainly still do, but I feel like it's less and less because when I think about the simpler things, the things that I have in front of me, I can, rethink things again. I can reground myself and realize that that was a wake up call for me to realize that I have to stop obsessing about things that I shouldn't obsess about, and certainly life gives us challenges and we certainly have to go through those things. So, not to make light of that, but I feel like it just gives you a complete transformation of, my life was spared. I'm alive. If there's anything, I should be grateful for that, you know? And it's not about like what you have materially, though of course we say that, well, we have to survive in this world, we need certain things to survive. Yes, I understand all that, but there is always the back to basics, you know And I think back to basics is what grounds us, because we remember, then we are reminded of the very thing that is so precious, which is that, we're alive, we're breathing, and that whatever it is that we're doing in our lives, that the fact that we're here to still do it, to still fulfill our lives, that in itself is just so life changing. And I feel like that experience not only profoundly changed my life, but it literally saved my life. And I am forever grateful. So I hope that this story inspires you to remember what you do have and to be grateful. And I am very grateful that you're here, and thank you for listening.